I see your head shaking, Sue. Not my friend most of the time.
I tried to get into a Google Meet meeting the other day, which I've been able to always get in, but we use Zoom, but somebody else was using the Google Meet. And I was locked out because I don't have a Google account, which was just the most bizarre thing to me. I had to have our IT look at it and they couldn't get me in. And I just went,
Wow.
terrible.
I don't know why we have to reinvent the wheel. If we use Zoom, it works. We understand it. Here we're converting over to Teams. And I'm going, well, what if I need to do Zoom? Oh, you can do that, but we're only doing Teams. And I went, what is up with that?
Yeah.
You know, I'm comfortable with Zoom. Don't make me have to learn something else. I have a problem with that. Morning,
We're
Mary
live.
Ann.
I keep thinking about, you can't, like for me, I'm talking for me, you can't teach old dog new tricks, you know?
I'll agree. Sometimes that's true where technology is concerned anyway. So are we
Madam
live?
President, we're live.
Thank you, Karen. Merry Christmas, everybody. I can't believe it is December and we're 2.5 weeks away from Christmas. But I am happy that you took the opportunity this afternoon, or it's this morning. It may be really early for some people, and it may be afternoon for others. But I wanted to thank you for taking the time out of your day to join us. And I will provide some updates that I have had people to request. But if you have any questions as we go through the next hour, please don't hesitate to raise your hand or just speak up or whatever. If you need something, you let us know. This little Zoom meeting is for you. And for anything that you have on your mind or any information you think you need, or if you just have general questions, I'll be more than happy to help you. And Mary Ann Hess is along with us. She's our incoming president. We have Susan Haig, who is Region 1 Director. Woohoo for me, Susan. But we call her Sue. So she's with us. And I see Larry Randall's with us, Tony Burton, Maggie Laura, I hope I pronounced your name correctly, Robin Leno, and IIMC member that I don't know your name. So if I don't see you on my screen, please forgive me for not calling out your name, but I hope that you will enjoy this little impromptu chat. So along with the people or members that signed up, there was a couple of things that they wanted to know. And what I did for the first 2 hours of my day is try to gather information and look at the mid-year meeting to see if I could gather my notes together to let you know what your board of directors did when we had our last Friday, December 2nd, mid-year. As you may not know, we were scheduled to meet Veterans Day weekend in Orlando, Florida. The president usually gets to choose a really cool place. I thought it would be nice for everybody to come to a warmer temperature. And the day before we were supposed to come, we got inundated with Hurricane Nicole, which came in the day, all of our travel the day before and the day of. So Orlando Airport closed down. We were unable to travel in an in-person meeting for our IIMC mid-year, which is really important because when we see each other virtually, that's awesome. But seeing each other face to face and the nuances of the emotion and the camaraderie that we have when we meet in person is important as your board grows to work together. Because every year a third of your board changes because we serve you as the members on the board for 3 years. So we went back to the hotel and said, okay, we would like to be able to come back in January or February. And it's not a matter of just rooms, but it's meeting rooms, it's scheduling meals, the foundation coming in. And they were unable to provide us meeting dates for January, February, where all members could come that would not be too close to the IMC. So you're thinking, well, what's wrong with March? Well, it's only 60 days. We're less than 60 days because our meeting in Minneapolis, thank you, is early this year. Like we will come in somewhere around May the 11th. So for you, it's probably 13, 14. So it's almost 2 weeks earlier. So it would not be a good turnaround for us in our capacity as our clerks or whoever you are, you know, because we go by so many names on the board to turn back around and travel again. Most of us have to be very careful with our travel. Even if IMC pays for it, you're still out of the office. So let's talk about your mid-year. And Mary Ann, if I misquote anything or anything, or Sue, if I do not give proper information, just please, you know, come back and say, we need to go back. That's not what I heard. Or let me add to it, because my take on it is not the only take. You know, we had staff on, we had the executive director, the EC, which is the president, president-elect, vice president, and your past president, as well as all the directors, with the exception of a couple. So we really had a good turnout. But I don't know if you realize it, but IMC is finally at the $1 million mark in our portfolio. Staff has been working for 10 years or more to try to increase what we have in the bank, hoping that we would get to a financial stability which would keep IMC afloat in the case of a crisis, and who knows what that might crisis be. But we need to be prepared for the future. You never know what might be happening. So we finally reached that $1 million mark, and the EC thought it was very important, as well as staff, that we have a firm that would handle investments for us to help that to grow. Just sitting in the bank doesn't always take care of whatever. We need a little bit of interest. So the board approved staff going to a firm to talk to them, what they have to offer, you know, what they would charge us, how to do the investments and things like that. And we had some very good discussion and input from our directors to say, you know, these are the things we want you to ask them. These are the things that we're looking for as a board. So I'm really excited over that we finally have $1 million to back us up in the case of a crisis. One other thing that the board agreed to do was to charge IIMC members one night hotel stay if you cancel your room reservation. And let me explain the reason for this. And I have been known to do this myself. So you have a couple of friends that want to stay at the hotel. They're in a meeting or they've had a crisis. So they're unable to call the hotel. And in past experiences, they didn't get in the host hotel because we normally have a backup hotel. What happens is that they end up not coming for whatever reason. And in recent years, it could be a plethora of stuff, which may include your own administration telling you you cannot travel this year, which has happened numerous times in the last 4 years, particularly with COVID and travel budgets being, you know, torn apart and other reasons. A lot of you might think, gosh, you know, that's really harsh. But when you look at one person reserving 5 or 6 or 7 rooms, and then half or all of those rooms, except for the person that reserved them, ends up not attending, we have to contract with the backup hotel, which may cause attrition at the host hotel. And if you don't know what attrition is, we have to make a commitment to cover so many nights during so many, so many rooms per night as we go through the week. And that adds up into the total cost and reduces what we may get in a percentage or little perks that we might get from the hotel. So we really talked about this. It was not something that the board of directors wanted to do, but it was something that we understood that in order for IMC to remain viable and to put on a conference that would be beneficial to everybody without a cost or the possibility of an attrition, we're going to charge, or the hotel will charge, that one night stay. Now, say you had to cancel because you've had a crisis, whatever that might be, the staff and the hotel will work collectively with each person to review whatever that mitigating circumstances is. So if you had a death in the family, or you got sick and you're in the hospital, or your children, or other things that might be a mitigating circumstance, will be looked at and discussed on a case-by-case basis. So don't think if you just cancel because of a mitigating circumstances, you won't get your money back. You will. If you decide to cancel just because, you know, you're all of a sudden going on a cruise, that's not a mitigating circumstance. So we're trying to encourage members not to reserve more than their own room, because you will be responsible for paying that first night. And I don't want any of you to get into that situation. So really just think about the rooms you're going to reserve, which Wednesday the hotel opened up. So I'm hoping this will make, if you're on and you did do this, think about that. So I'll leave that alone for the time being. Also, you know, once in a long while, when we submit a CMC or an MMC application, there's some little discrepancy and staff is missing information, or they don't have the right information. So it's important for them to have a policy that guides them in how to handle these discrepancies, which may be just missing information or you turned in the wrong information. So we approved a policy where staff would be fluid enough to contact the member, what's going on, this is what we're missing, submit it to us so we can continue with your application. If they don't get in touch with the member, of course, the application is suspended. And if they, the member never responds, then the application will be in a permanent suspension until the member can contact the staff to say, oh, I'm so sorry, whatever, you know, whatever the problem is with the application, if they can get it taken care of, so that we can go forward with issuing those important certifications. So just in case you hear from your members or your friends, oh my gosh, you know, I did this, it's not a problem. It's not a problem at all. We just want to make sure that staff is protected and they have a policy to follow when these instances happen, which have been very, very rare over our 78 years in existence. So at the end of October, you may be interested to know that for the CMCs, we currently have 4,484 CMCs. That's 4,484 CMCs. For our MMCs, we have 1,372. I haven't gotten an update for the end of November yet, but this is an awesome number. But when I look at these numbers for the MMCs or the CMCs, I think we need to encourage each other to go after additional education and apply for this CMC and MMC. It shows not only your involvement in IMC, but your commitment to lifelong learning, your commitment to your community, your commitment to your council or your city manager, but it also gives you a sense of wow and accomplishment. And I believe it's all about learning and that education and setting that goal to be better, to do more, so we can offer more to our residents and our communities and our commission your boards or city managers, because every little bit of education we receive helps us be a better city clerk or city recorder, city secretary, legislative director, whoever you are, it makes you better at what you do. And I'm speaking from experience because I never really thought that when I was started late in life to obtain my college degree. I waited, put things in front, scared I would be not smart enough to complete it. I had lots of excuses. I probably could give you 100. And finally, I bit the bullet and I said, I'm going to get this hateful degree. And I disappeared. Oh my gosh. I'm going to complete this degree. So when I did, and my thinking before was, it's not going to, what's it going to do for me? But it changed my whole way of thinking, my perspective on a lot of different things. So it's not just about a college degree, but it's about any education. And when you signed up or joined IMC, you committed to lifelong learning. So that is something that we want to help you do. So the other thing the board approved, believe it or not, is the old name of MMC Beyond, which is now Education Plus Program. So you will begin to hear EPP, which is Education Plus Program. We wanted to get away from the connotation of the MMC Beyond to give it its own name and the own criteria and own importance, to let those know who want to go forward, because I've heard over the years, once you get your MMC, your city manager looks at, well, that's all you need to get. Or your board says, well, you don't need to travel anymore because now you have your master municipal clerk. So we're looking to enhance our education by providing you with more education. And we're looking for this to be made public in June of 2023. There's some guidelines that need to be rewritten to include this particular program. But just a couple things about it. The fee to enter will be $200. You will need to be an MMC, what they call in good standing, and I don't think any of us are not in good standing. The additional criteria is an active full member, an additional full member, or a retired member of IIMC. It's going to take us 3 years to complete this program, and you have to obtain an additional 10 hours. It's not going to be points, 10 hours of education each year. You can't use previous education. And once you've completed that 10 hours of education, you have to stop for the EPP program. Doesn't mean you can't get more education. You just can't submit an additional 10 hours. And you can't go, ooh, I'll go ahead and finish my 10 years this year for next year, and I'll be ahead of the game. You cannot do that. So each year you'll submit your information, you'll get your first year, and then they'll have a date when you can begin your second year. You'll do the same thing. Staff will have a date to continue and end your third year, and then you'll get your certification or whatever they've decided to provide. So it will help your, I hope, administration or your bosses know that IMC would like to continue our education. Yes, it's a minimal cost. Yes, it's minimal hours, but it is something that we can work toward to be better at what we do. Another thing your board did was increase the membership dues by $10. What we would like to see is that IMC membership pays for the May conference totally, rather than dipping into our funds. So we found it necessary to increase the membership due by $10. And it was a large discussion, not only at the Budget and Planning Committee in September, but an additional intense discussion at the board, because it's always hard to raise dues or raise registration, but it is something we felt we needed to do. We also provided staff with a 5% increase in COLA. In many years in the past, they've not received a COLA. They might have received a bonus. But this year, the Budget and Planning Committee decided it was time that we ask the executive director. We're not interested or will encourage bonuses anymore. What we're interested in is keeping our wages fair for our staff, just like your, hopefully, municipalities or districts keep your wages fair as inflation continues to raise. So this is the reason that we gave the employees, our employees who work for the executive director. They don't report to the board. They don't report to the membership. They report directly to the executive director. So we did give them a 5% COLA increase. We also gave the go-ahead to hire a part-time financial specialist. About 3 years ago, we lost our office manager. She moved to Florida, as a matter of fact, in the northern portion of Florida, and we have had no one to replace the office manager that does all the day-to-day routine, helps with the scheduling and the maintenance of the building we own, works with our tenants, a plethora of information as a normal business office manager, operations manager does. In getting behind in other things, Janet Pantaleon, who is our finance person and has done that for many years, is going to be moving over to the operations person. And we will be hiring a part-time, although it's proven to be very difficult to find a part-time person with the right salary and the right attributes and experience that we need, because it is just going to be part-time, not a full-time position at this time. The next thing that we did, as you remember in your amendments last year, the board had asked the membership to look at Region 8 and allowing them to split into 2 separate regions. As you may not know, Region 8 has 11 states. There was no way to fairly have representation for 11 states because of rotation. If you rotate every 3 years, 33 years it takes you to be a director and to represent your portion of the country being on the board. So these 11 states got together with the current region directors and the past region directors with the state presidents and said, how do you want to do this? They made the decision on what the state division would be, what the districts would be called, Region 8 East and Region 8 West, and how they would rotate the directorship in each of those regions. So for Region East, we will have Wyoming, Montana, Colorado, Nebraska, North and South Dakota. And for the West, we will have Nevada, New Mexico, Utah, Idaho, and Arizona. And I can tell you that by these presidents and region directors getting together, I think they bonded in a way they never had an opportunity. And in these regions, not every state has an academy. So this will also provide them an opportunity to be closer together in their own district to get the education they need. I've never had that problem in Region 3 because we've always had an academy in every state. But there are regions and states in our United States, not over the pond, but here, that do not have an education academy. And in Canada, I think they have probably 5 or 6, where, because they're so spread out that they have their own education for their clerks to do what they need to do. And I just wanted to let you know that the board will increase from 24 to 26 beginning in May when we have those 2 additional region directors. And If you're in those states, talk to your directors and see how they decided they were going to do the rotation. And I hope that in the future, we'll see some of you on the board as a new director for Region 8 East and or Region 8 West. So Sue and Mary Ann, did I pretty much cover what the items on the board that we discussed and were approved? Did I miss anything? If I did, please speak up. I tried to go through my agenda with the motions to make sure that I captured everything. Sue?
I think you were good. I might only add that little extra part about losing the hotel first, if you cancel, that if you, suppose you booked 10 days, but you only wanted to say 5, there was no penalty whatsoever for canceling those last 5 days.
Thank you. You're right. You're exactly right. Just the first night. Thank you, Sue. Mary Ann, do you have anything additional?
At the end of the meeting, Hans, oh, my mic. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. At the end of the meeting, Hans did this beautiful presentation of the study abroad program, which is going to be in the Netherlands come September. I didn't know if you were going to discuss that, but it's going to be a wonderful opportunity for people. And I hope people will consider attending that study abroad program.
Absolutely. And I was, but that's okay, because Mary Ann will be the sitting president when we go to the study abroad, and it will end with a symposium. And I can tell you the Dutch are going to be presenting awesome classes with IIMC. And if you cannot come for the study abroad, which is the week before the symposium, you're certainly welcome to come to the symposium. It's going to be in Amsterdam. I believe we're going to, for the study abroad, visit Belgium as well. But the main portion of everything is going to be in Amsterdam, which is a beautiful city. September is a little chilly, but it's just great weather. I can't tell you how great and exciting. I'm going to be a lady in waiting with Mary Ann, so can't wait to attend. But absolutely. So are there any questions right now for anybody who may be on in regards to the mid-year meeting and what I presented to you? Nothing? Okay. Couple of other things. I wanted to mention volunteering for a committee. This past year, we had more new members volunteering for a committee than I've ever seen in the past, which it was daunting to be able to have new members, of course, with existing members who wanted to stay on. But you may not know, if you're working towards your NMC or CMC, you have the ability to garner an additional point for committee participation. All the participation is done via Zoom meetings or a telephone call, but most of them are done via Zoom. And the chairperson, whoever that ends up being, which is appointed by the president and the vice chair, really. So as we go backwards a little bit, when your vice president and the president-elect is going to move up to president-elect and president, you choose your chairs and vice chairs. As you become the president, then your vice chairs become your chairs as committees. That way they understand what you may be looking for, or the board decides whatever assignments they're going to be giving to committees. And it's a great way to meet people you've never seen before across the pond or across the United States and have discussion for what assignments are given, but how you learn the inner workings of IIMC. And that's how I began. I think I've been on almost every committee that there is, maybe one I can know I haven't been on, but that's the only way to learn what the committees do. And then you also gain friendships with those who are sitting on the committees with you. You get to go, if you go to the conference, then you go, wow, I saw your face on Zoom. Now I'm seeing you in person. So that's an additional opportunity, is to learn who the members are, which I believe makes our association a more cohesive group. The other thing is for me, when I was a new clerk, I had a mentor, and as I became an older clerk, I was a mentor. And there isn't ever a time in our clerking career, no matter how long we've been in or how little we've been in, that we don't need the advice from a different clerk. And because you may experience something that nobody knows about, and then I contact you and go, oh my gosh, I'm going through this. Can you help me? I'm going to kill somebody. And all of a sudden you find here's a member that's gone through exactly what you're going through. They may have some advice. They may say, okay, it's not time to kill anybody. Let me tell you what I did. Have you tried this? Have you tried that? But more importantly, you not only gain another friend in IIMC, but normally that friendship is the duration of your clerking history and experience. For those that mentored me and for those that I mentor, I always look at that time as really special, because I have a bond with those that I may not have with others. But I always remember the advice that they gave me. And I'll give you, for instance, when I was very, very, not in age maybe, but very young in my clerking career, in North Carolina, there was a president by the name of Janice Thomas. And there was a group, about 5 or 6 of us, that came into clerking career and went to school together. We bonded really well. But throughout those 5 or 6 years, Janice was growing in the North Carolina Association, and she became the president. And little by little over the years, all of my compadres or cohorts, or we did karaoke. There is anything that we didn't have fun with. But they dropped off doing different things. They went to different careers. And I kind of lost, over a couple of them, kind of lost touch. Janice never allowed me to lose touch, ever. And believe it or not, she is about 85, 86. And through my beginning travels of 2022, I have seen her 3 times, because her daughter is a vendor. And so she comes to the clerk institutes or conferences. And so Janice and I reconnected, seeing one another, sitting down with one another, having our photograph taken. But she made such an impression. She probably never knew the impression that she made. So the mentoring is very important. And you don't realize, even your friends in clerking that may not, you don't look at them as your mentors, they are, because you talk to them about your experiences. Have they done this? Have they experienced this? You're going through this. So never think you're by yourself. So I just wanted to say that mentoring is very important, or being a mentee is very important. And if you need help and you've not tried it, your state association more than likely has a mentoring committee with the offering of mentors. And IMC has a very strong mentoring committee that have people who want to mentor, and they'll put you together in a like-sized city, trying to see, your needs versus what this other person might provide. So don't be afraid to reach out, because mentoring is very, very important. The last thing that I was asked, usually when some people fill out their little, I want to be a part of the Zoom meeting with the president. As a matter of fact, I was so busy, I didn't get a chance to fix anything to drink. But they put a little comment on the side that says, I would like this to be discussed. I'm just interested in normal clerking stuff. The other question that I have is, what does it take to be an Athenian facilitator? And if you don't know what that is, IMC offers Athenian Fellowship. It's a really cool way, if you're not a reader, to get into reading. And if you are a reader, to read more. I'm a huge reader. all you need to do is read 10 books. You can go on the IMC website. Many, many, many Athenians are done via Zoom now. And that's one thing that COVID gave us is virtual Athenian dialogues. Before it had to be an in-person. We saw the value of continuing virtual education for our members. And Diane Flufelder in New Jersey, which is a board member, came up with, you know, why not continue the virtual Athenian? And the board approved that you can get CMC points, more than 2, maybe more than 3, more than 1, to add to your CMC or MMC. But the best part is not always reading the book, because some of them are really crappy in my experience. However, the dialogue is what is awesome, because you sit in a room, if it's in person or a screen like this, and you discuss what you learned about the book, what you didn't like, how you're going to be using it, what it exactly did for you, you know, can you, who do you want to share the book with? Yesterday I was on a Zoom with the Clint Pulver book. I can't even remember the name of it right now. Oh my gosh, but it was excellent. The book was not my favorite, although I thought it was a good book, but the discussion was excellent, because we all have a different attitude or opinion on what we got out of it, what we're going to take back. And if you want to get credit for an Athenian, you have to fill out an assessment, which the facilitator will provide you. So now you've reached your 10 dialogues. Then what do you do with it? You pay your $15, you fill in an application, you send in your 10 assessment certificates, and you are inducted into the Athenian Fellowship, which is a really cool thing. When I first started, I thought, who wants to be an Athenian? What's the big deal? But oh my gosh, it's so cool, because you don't only read fascinating books or meet fascinating people, but you just hear discussion. And once you're inducted into that fellowship, you know, if you get to the conference, you're recognized on stage, you get a thing you put on your coat, Athenian, help me, Marianne or Sue, that says you are an Athenian Fellowship. Exactly. And it's a pen just like your MMC. Yeah. It's a really cool pen. And so what if you've done that and you want to be a facilitator? That was the question. I kind of went around that, but so this is what you have to do. You have to be a fellow. You have to be an MMC in good standing. You have to be a member of IMC at least 5 years. And you have to find a facilitator that will mentor you. So you can go on the IMC website and look up Athenian facilitators, and there's a list. Beside each name, there's a yes or a no. The yeses tell you that they will be a mentor for somebody who is looking to become that facilitator. You have to spend 6 hours with the mentor, which includes creating an agenda for a dialogue, creating activities to enhance that dialogue, selecting the assessment tool, because you have to build that assessment tool that you send to those people in that dialogue. And it's not just, how did you like the book, Pamela? It is, explain what you got out of the book on page whatever. How are you going to share this? And it's not 1 or 2 sentences in order to get your certificate. It is, this is what it did for me. It's a paragraph, and it could even be more. You also have to learn how to bring additional resources to the Athenian, not just the book, but maybe you find a short film, or you find a person who's in the book, because most of these books, many of these books are historical, or like Clint Pulver. It's about his life and how he came to realize what type of employees we need and how you find the right employee, and the discussion of, have you had a bad employee? Why did you choose that employee? So would they continue to work for your company, which I thought was interesting. A lot of people said, no, but I'm here because I'm dedicated and I love my staff. So you also have to look for what content are you looking for as a facilitator when you choose a book. The book has to be IMC approved. And on the website, again, there's an approved list of books. If you find a book you think would be really cool, then you have to work with Dr. Rodriguez, because she is the one who approves a book now to be included in the book list. And you have to give your reasons. It's just not a little conversation. You have to really convince her that this book is worthwhile. How to prepare for the presentation. Then the mentor will share their experiences in their past dialogue, how the mentor reflects and what they've experienced and how they built giving a dialogue. And then the mentor's responsible, because there things happen. And if you've got a facilitator meeting, a mentor mentee, and something doesn't go right, then the mentor's responsible for redoing that so you can get your 6 hours. After you do all of that, you go back online, you get an Athenian facilitator application, you have to complete it. Then you get the mentor-mentee assignment agreement. That has to be completed. And then you submit all that to Dr. Rodriguez. There's no charge for it. And once it's approved, you are an Athenian facilitator. And then you let the whole IIMC world know, your district know, that you are now an Athenian facilitator. And I believe Sue is an Athenian facilitator. Marianne, you're not. But I know that Marianne's been on a dialogue with Sue. Have you done that before? I've not had the pleasure.
Yes, we went. I attended her session about Colin Powell, and it was just fascinating. The book was good and the discussion, and Sue did a great job.
Thank you. But a lot of it is all about the discussion around and the people that are there too. So Marianne had a lot to do with that.
Well, thank you.
Well, some books we can get in and we really love. Then there are other books, oh my gosh, I read and I'm going, why did I buy? I wanted to get my Athenian, and why did I choose this one? But I had to trudge through it. And I'm a big believer in Audible. If you are not a member of audible.com and you want to get your fellowship, I would suggest you learn, because you get a credit each month. It's only $14.95. But I'm big on it, because not only do I listen back and forth to work, I clean the house, I do the yard. Sometimes my husband's talking to me and I can have my earphones in my ears and I don't have to listen to it. Then other times he goes, why have you got those things in your ears? Well, I'm trying to finish this book, because I had a dialogue yesterday, right? So I had to finish a book. But I would encourage you not only to look at being a facilitator if you've got the criteria and you've gone through or contacting somebody, but join the Athenian fellowship. It only costs $15 to submit the application, and then you're off and running. And let your friends or your district know, and they will push out books that you can read so you can get those 10. And, the cost varies. The person putting it on, which is normally not the facilitator, the one yesterday was put on one of the districts in Florida. But whatever they choose to, I paid as little as $50, and I think I paid almost $150, depending on the university or another state. But I actually love the virtual, because you see everybody from everywhere. Oh my gosh, from Alaska to on. So a couple of things we're working on, because I said that. Canada has one person who's a facilitator. So hopefully in early 2023, we will get notice that they will be having an Athenian dialogue. And then we're working again for Region 11. One person has just completed their facilitation requirements and will hopefully be submitting their application. And hopefully we'll get started with an Athenian dialogue in Region 11. So, making commitments to give them more education and include them in our IMC education. Somebody asked about virtual learning for IMC. Remember, every quarter, Dr. Rodriguez will release 2 classes virtually that you can take, that you can get points for your MMC and CMC. And even if you don't need points, I always love her classes. She provides high-level university classes, a lot of input, a lot of information, and those 2 hours go so quickly. It will always be released normally on Wednesday in your e-briefings. If you usually don't read those, I would encourage you to read them, because there's information in there that you have the opportunity to sign up early for things that will be repeated in the News Digest when that comes out once a month. But the e-briefings give you more information about the virtual classes, signing up, there's still spaces available, you know, that type of thing. So just watch out for those announcements. So somebody wanted to know a little bit about Minneapolis. I had the opportunity in July to go to what we call the host hotel and see everything about the city that we were going to be in, what it had to offer. And it was a really, 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 really cool. I think I walked 100 miles. But Minneapolis is a big city, but it's a small city. It's very walkable. Lots of really neat restaurants. There's a First Avenue where Prince is in Minneapolis. First Avenue where he recorded Purple Rain. And it's just got a lot of neat memorabilia, but you can have dinner there. There's a lot of walkable, inexpensive, and we ate every meal in a different restaurant. And everything I ate was wonderful. And I'm really picky. There's a lot of things I don't like hot food. I don't eat any fish or seafood. If you live, die, you have been born in the water, you won't be eaten by me. But they offer a plethora of just awesome, awesome, awesome food. If you want to take a side trip, there's Paisley Park. Paisley Park is where Prince lived. And you're going down the highway, and all of a sudden you're getting ready to turn off the highway, and you look up, and there's this really weird looking building, and it's actually where he lived, where he recorded, where he entertained. And there's certain different levels of tours, and they've got a gift shop in there. Of course, did I buy something? I couldn't hardly stand there. Of course I bought something, but you know, it's like a 20, maybe 30-minute little trek on the highway, but it was awesome. And if you go to the IIMC 2023 Facebook page, it was built and created by Audra Etzel in Region 8. Region 8? Yeah, Region 8. Region 7? Minnesota? 6? It's in a region of IMC. Mary Ann says she thinks it's 6. But they created a Facebook page, and I posted early on. I've been really bad. I told them I would continue to post. I haven't. But our Tuesday night event that the conference committee is putting on in the Minneapolis area is going to be at the host hotel, which is connected to the conference center. Enough for all of our rooms, enough for the conference center, our vendor hall. Our Tuesday night event and all of our educational sessions is going to be a Prince theme. So you'll have an opportunity to get your Prince on and wear your purple and wear your ruffles and just have a really good time with dancing on the floor and some good food and some great costumes, and let your hair down and just have a good time. So they're working really hard on that. I hope you'll consider attending. And the flight is not that expensive, even from Florida to Minneapolis. It's really, really a good flight. Doesn't take a lot of time. Like when you go to California, you never think you're going to get back home again. but it's just a place that you will enjoy. There's a sculpture park, about a 15-20 minute walk. It has these really cool sculptures, and one of them is a spoon with a cherry on it, and the water runs down it. And then there's the puppy. Then there's a big rooster. It's just really, really nice. It's lots of culture, lots of music, lots of arts. Just we went to a jazz concert. We were walking by and they were having jazz concert. So we, went in, and they were gracious enough to let us in free. There was a small fee, but they let us in free to sit down and just listen to this jazz band. They were just so good right there on the street. So they have a lot to offer. We will have an off-session event. I'm not going to tell you where it's going to be, but it is fabulous. I can't wait to hear everything that I heard that this place does and what they offer. You will really love it. So when you sign up, or when it opens, which will be after the first of the year, to virtually register online like we did last year, they had to change the whole app, so we'll get a new app and all that good stuff. But make sure you register early so you can look at the sessions. And they gave you a sneak preview when the hotel stuff came out of educational sessions. And remember, there's educational sessions offered on pre-sessions, I should say, on Saturday, Sunday, as well as 2 Athenians each day. So if you want to do an Athenian each day and can come in early, I encourage you to do that. That was the beginning of me becoming an Athenian fellowship person, is that I did 2 Athenians. And, I've never been to a bad one, like I said before. So I've been looking at the clock because it's to my left, your right. If left, right, yeah. So I usually have 2 lefts or 2 rights. I never have one or the other. But is there anything that anybody's on that for the last 2 to 3 minutes has a question, would like to make a comment, would, whatever? Our next coffee tea is at, I say 1500, but it's 3 o'clock this afternoon, my time, Eastern Standard Time. The next one, I believe you got your e-briefing. No, you didn't. You got your news digest yesterday. And in there, it gives you the next 3 coffee teas with the president. And I'm sure that Mary Ann's going to carry that forward, and her president. See, because it's an awesome way for members who never get to see the board or the president or see other members to come on a Zoom, a virtual meeting, and just hear me talk all the time, or Mary Ann to talk all the time, or to get an input from those who are online. So
Mary Ann, I'm going to just sign off because I have an 11 o'clock interview I have to do. So happy holidays, everybody. I hope they're filled with just wonderful things.
Thank you, Sue.
Take care.
So with that, I, like Sue, want to wish you each and every one a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I can't believe it's 2023. I cannot believe I'm halfway through being the president for 22-23. Thus far, it's been a great ride, some heartbreaking, some not. Lots of opportunities and meeting the members, hearing from what you want. I always usually end up giving you my office number, which is 239-533-2224. If you need anything, please call. My personal cell is 239-246-7070. 239-246-7070 or 239-533-2224. If you need anything, please don't hesitate to give me a call. I'm here for you. I ran because I truly believe in you as the membership for whatever it is you need to grow, to be better, and to reach your goal. So with that, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. May the light of Christmas be in your heart this year.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Take care. Hope you join me in February or at 3 o'clock. Bye-bye.